Gotta get the action people. How you doing? Yeah, I know.
I just drove in right now, pero we'll get together. Are you working tomorrow? I'm gonna be in the office tomorrow. You can find together in town. Okay. Text you, see where you're at.
I don't see you. Somebody's listening to. They're listening to us.
Wait a minute, that's me. That was a long time ago.
It's just been a second delay.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come over here to our town hall meeting to join us. At this time, we're going to go ahead and begin with the presentation of colors from our ROTC from 18 High School. We have the dead corporal, Daniela O'Grady, who's going to be singing the sweetness of the Lord.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas pledge. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Forward, walk, left, 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 right, right, left, left, right, right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right.
You may be seated.
Thank you. And Daniela did two roles today. She was here showing off the robot that we made the kid build. So I want to thank Daniela, I want to thank our ROTC members for being here, presenting colors. Okay, if you've been keeping up with everything that's been happening in Keysville, ISD, you'll know that we're having to make some tough decisions to make sure that we turn our district around academically and financially. And so this is what this is going to be about. We have posted all of the information on our website, we posted it on Facebook, posted on Twitter, we have sent emails, and we have sent robocalls. But I felt like a face-to-face would be good. This way, if there are any other questions that we haven't been able to clear up, then we'll be able to try to answer them here tonight. And if for some reason we to the Q&A sheet. The Q&A sheet was, and also the other handouts, they were writing and by cookies and the drinks. So I hope you're ready to get them. If not, they're on our website. Also, we have QR codes right over there. Where you can just go into it and you can get it on the QR code as well before you leave. First, I'm going to turn it over to our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, which is Dr. Pitts.
Good evening, Kingsville community. Tonight, I'm going to begin with the financial status of our district. Currently, we have a $4.5 million deficit budget that we have not met. We have worked very hard through applying for grants for COVID and trying to reduce expenses to reduce that budget deficit. Right now, we currently stand at 2.5. Appraises our property as well too. The Texas Comptroller appraises our values, and they say that our properties should be quite a bit more than what the Clayburgh appraisal district says. The result is that we're losing about $1.6 million a year that we could be getting from the Texas education agency because of the difference in the way the property values are appraised. There are some recourses that we have available. We protest those property values, and last year we were able to get about $440,000 back after testing our property values. But after we did that, the net result was we're still at a $1.665 billion less revenue than we are getting from the state. Again, there's not much we can do to fix that. We protest it as much as we can. So we are losing money right there. The other big place that we get funds is from our attendance and enrollment. The more students that you have, the more money you get from the Texas education agency. They actually have to come to school. There's something called average daily attendance. You get some money for students coming to school. Just because they're enrolled, if they don't come to school, if they only come to school half the time, you only get finances for half of the days. So if we take a look at our enrollment and attendance over the last few years, we started about 7 years ago with 3,427 students. And currently we are enrolled at 2,862. Now this was in the fall. We have gotten some students back, and we are currently, I think, around 29, 25 in that area right now. So we are fighting to get our students back. But you are not paid on that. You are paid on the average daily attendance, which first semester was around 2,579. So we have lost enrollment of several hundred in the last and several hundred in average daily attendance, which translates to several $1 million of revenue that we have lost in the last few years. So what we are seeing is that we're losing money in both taxes and in revenues from the state because of attendance. So you have to reduce your expenditures accordingly. And we have tried to do that as much as we possibly can, but TASGO says that really the biggest ways to get your budget balanced is to reduce staff and facilities. That's the way you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. We're talking almost 87% of your budget is both staff and facilities altogether. So you can reduce your budget as much as possible in the other areas, but you're not going to make much of a dent until you reduce your staff and facilities to match the number of students that you have currently attending. The reason why we are in this deficit budget, and last year and this year, and why we will continue to do so, is because we have less students and we have not appropriately matched our number of staff and the amount of facilities to match that reduction in our number of students. So here's another issue that affects our funding. We have talked about students only get funding for when they actually attend school. If you look at the last several years, our peer district, Calico, compared us to about 700 districts that had the same number of students, the same type of demographics in the community. And what they found is over the years that our attendance was 3 percentage points lower than our peer districts, which translates to quite a bit less funding. If we can get our students attending more, we have to be able to do more this year, that will also help our funding. So why have we lost students? Kingsville as a whole has lost a few thousand residents over the last decade or two. But one of the biggest reasons is transfers to other districts. There's more competition now. As you can see, in 2015, 2016, we lost 247 students to district. 247 of our students that went to our district the previous year decided to go to Bishop the next year. But look where we are now, 338. I won't go through all these other districts, but as you can see, before about 5 years ago, we lost 1,100 students. Last year, we lost 1,420 students to surrounding districts. So again, when we have less students attending your district, you're going to get less funding, which means that you need to reduce your staffing and your facilities to meet that funding to balance your budget. So the other thing that Tesla looked at was how are we paying our employees compared to our peer districts, and what they found out was just purely in salaries and wages, we were paying a smaller percentage of our budget to salaries and wages than our peer district. However, if you look at total payroll costs, we were paying 78% of our budget for payroll, whereas our peer districts were only paying 76.6%. One of the big reasons why is health insurance. We contribute a lot more than our peer districts to health insurance. So overall, we are putting quite a bit for employee benefits. So one thing to point out is if you look at our total budget, 78.1% of it is payroll. The key to a balanced budget is, first of all, through payroll, through getting the number of staff. We call it setting staff ratios. You set a certain number of teachers per student, a certain number of custodians per student, of aides per student, administrators per student, all the way down the line. That's the key to balancing your budget because, again, staff is the biggest part of your budget. The second biggest part of it is facilities. Now, if you look at employee turnover the last few years, the reason why I have this slide up here is Dr. Pettis has reassured our community that we are not firing employees. We have a substantial amount of turnover every year, and we can reduce our staffing to match the level of students that we have by just not hiring the positions that are not needed the next year. Certain positions, if somebody leaves, if Pettis leaves, we would definitely have to replace that position, but not leaving anytime soon. But if you look at the number of teachers in 2017, we had 41 teachers leave 4300 leave. Now last year, a little bit of an anomaly. We got only 34 employees leave. We think that's mainly due to COVID. A lot of times, employees want job security, and during these uncertain times, we experience a lot less people leaving. Again, we don't know yet what the figures are for 21, but we expect it to be at least this. So as you can see, without firing anybody, we can't substantially reduce our workforce to meet our number of students that we have. So besides staffing, the next way to balance your budget is facilities, because with facilities, you have not only the utility costs every month. We pay about $1.1 million in just our electric bill every year for all our campuses. So you don't have not only just your electricity, but also your gas, your water, your landfill, and all of your I guess phone lines as well too, and internet lines. So the question is, do we have the capacity in our schools to service the current population of students with less facilities? And as you can see here right now, almost every facility, the capacity is okay, there we go. The capacity is almost double for almost every facility. And look at Gillette. Gillette is really underutilized. So if you again look at these two right here, Flavor and Carroll, it's very, you cannot efficiently operate a school with only 200 students. You're going to lose money there. Every time you have a facility, not only do you need an extra custodial staff to clean it, you need an extra food service staff to provide meals, you need extra teachers, extra administrators, extra nurses, counselors. So every time you have another facility, not only do you have the utilities, not only do you have all the repairs, and you have many aging facilities, you also have the extra added staffing costs, which are substantial for the facility. So as you can see, again, looking at our facilities, we do have extra capacity at every campus to absorb some students if we were going to realign our school district. So what would be the fiscal impact of having a 6 through 8 middle school? Currently, we have a grade 7 and 8 middle school, and we have a grade 5 and 6 intermediate school. If we move to having a grade 6 through 8 at middle school, and then eliminating one of those facilities, we would save $4.1 million in the first year. 1.87 million of that would be Memorial has a roof that cannot be repaired. A roof or roof. Sorry about that. I was born in the Midwest. I got to Texas as quickly as I could. So then overall, over the next life of the building, we would save over $2 million a year just by moving those students in the intermediate school to a middle school, and then moving 5th grade to the elementary schools. So let's take a look at what would be the fiscal impact of redistributing students from one elementary school. Not as much, but still $1.1 million, which is substantial. Okay, there we go. $1.1 million, including teacher salaries and benefits, other staff, utilities and maintenance, close to $1.2 million a year. But again, $1.2 million is a lot of money. It's not easy now. So KISD came up with a few big ways that we could balance our budget. The number one has to do with staff. Number one and number two. So if you look at set staff to staff ratios, so we talked about this before. When you have a declining number of students in a year, you need to reduce the number of staff in the following year to match that number of students. We've already demonstrated that through attrition, that can be done without firing any staff or letting any staff go. The second thing is to consolidate underutilized facilities. And that saves money not only in utilities, not only in repairs, and it also saves money in staffing, because when you don't have another facility, again, you have less space to clean, you have less space to cool, and you have less areas to monitor as well. So at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Pettis to continue.
All right, so in looking at the recommendations that were given to us by Casco, the first thing that I looked at was, I am not going to lay off anybody. That is not my goal, okay? There's no reason for people to lose jobs at this point, especially during this COVID era. So that's not going to happen, okay? I have been, as a teacher myself, through consolidations. We did have to move, et cetera. And I kind of learned from them some mistakes they made. And one thing was laying off teachers, okay, or staff. And that is not where I want to go. So we don't have to do that. First of all, we're not a bankrupt district, which was reported in one of the news agencies. We are just spending more than we're earning. And so if we start to manage our monies in a more fiscally responsible way, then we won't go into bankruptcy. We won't get to a point where TEA will take over. Now, if we want to do any future bonds as well later, you know, to maybe build a new whatever, okay, auditorium or whatever, you know, you have to have good credit. And right now, we really in trouble because we're operating at a deficit budget every year. So we have to fix that. Okay, that's just facts. So when we looked at, all right, so then how can we reduce the staff? Well, it will be through attrition. There are some positions where we are overstaffed. We have some very, very small hospitals. And so we can consolidate. We have a class size of 7 and another class size of 8. We put those together and have one class of 15 instead of paying 2. But the way we do that would be through attrition, which means, you know, people resign or people retire, and we look at that position. If it's something we absolutely need, then we would replace it. Like if it's, we lose 6 math teachers, we can't afford to lose 6 math teachers, etc. So it just depends on the certification and it depends on the position. So looking at that, so then looking at facilities, Memorial Middle School is about 40 years old, I guess, close to 40 years old, and it does need a lot of work. I remember going in and meeting with the teachers for master schedule training, and I asked the coach, why are all those buckets right there? They were like, they're all in the stairwell, and right there in the bleachers at Memorial. He said, well, you see all those leaks, you know, and then he was showing me the floor, and it was just, you know. And during one of the Bring a Time lighting proms, some of our students even talked about it. That really sparked my attention. This is around November. They talked about how, you know, I guess dilapidated some of the rooms are. So we already need, Memorial needs a lot of work. Well, we have a brand new Gillette school. And going through that school, we go, there's so many empty classrooms, so many empty areas. It only makes sense to put them back, okay, to consolidate those two. Now, the reason that I believe that was a good solution, a suggestion by Casco about moving 5th grade back to the elementaries, is because of the number of transitions our kids have when they go, before they get to high school. If you look at the data even deeper, you will see that students are leaving us, because you saw how many students are leaving us over these years. They're leaving us mainly during the transition times. Okay, my kid finished 4th grade, I want them to go to a middle school. I'm going to transfer them out. This is my out. Instead, we keep the 5th grade there, and then after 5th grade, we move them to 6, 7, 8, and Gillette. That's one less transition they have to make before they go to high school. So academically or developmentally, it does make sense for us to move 6, 7, 8 to Gillette Middle School and put the 5th graders back at elementary. So in other words, our current 4th graders, they would stay at their elementary and they would year. Our current 8th graders, they move on to high school. Okay? Our current 6th graders, they're going to stay at Gillette. So when you think about it, the only group moving is going to be the 7th graders from Memorial to Gillette. Okay? Now, the 5th grade teachers at Gillette, they won't be teaching 5th grade at Gillette next year, unless there's been some, according to the principal, meeting with the teachers, and if there's been any reassignments. But those teachers at Gillette, what they're going to do is they're going to be able to have the opportunity to go through a process of, it's like applying, they're not applying for their job. They're reaching out to the principals of the elementaries because they're going to be an elementary they're interested in going to. So they're going to be able to reach out to the principals in priority order. This is my first choice. I'd like to go here, I'd like to go here, I'd like to go here. And that way they have the opportunity to meet with the principals and kind of interview, how they get to know each other, etc., to see if they're going to want to be able to get the job there and be assigned there. But no matter what, they're not losing their job. I think that's a better solution than for me or my HR director, Mr. Pettis, to say, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here. We want the teachers who have the opportunity to be able to reach out to those principals and say, I'm interested in going to your school because of whatever. And then meet with them. Because the principals then are going to sit with all those and kind of see who is the best fit. You know, who can we get for our campus? This is what we need, etc. based on experience. Okay, so then now we need to look at elementaries, which was the recommendation, another recommendation. Elementaries and how small they are. Okay, well, at least two of them explain over here. In looking at the facility study, Carroll does not need as much repairs and work as Clayburgh does. So that's one thing. Secondly, in talking to the high school staff, Ms. Feeney, are you here? Hard to tell that. In talking to Ms. Feeney, who's really dedicated to the CARES program. The CARES program is a program where students who have not finished or who need to recover credits to finish their high school diploma, we bring them back. She mentioned to me there are several students we could be serving, but they don't have transportation all the way over to the high school. And it breaks my heart. So we need something on the other side of town. It's a little more accessible to our dropouts. Unfortunately, over the past few years, over the last decade, with the decline in academics, there have been a lot of students left behind. There have been a lot of students that have dropped out. Some students got pregnant, they can go back, and they only needed like 6 or 3 credits. There's all sorts of reasons. We've failed as students. We need to get back. So, in looking at also the early childhood, our little ones, especially with COVID right now, there's going to be a slide. When there already was a slide academically over the past few years. So we've got some catching up to do for our kids. So we've really got to hit those littles, you know, with some good interventions, some academic strategies that will help them. Well, in putting all this together, we connect the dots. If we've lost several dropouts and they maybe have babies, they're probably about 0 to 4 years old. 0 between babies to 4 years old. So if we had a facility where we could put those littles for free, and their parent, which is a dropout, could go to that same facility, take their GED classes, take their GED test, or take their high school credits that they need to recover and get their high school diploma, then what you're doing is you're educating 2 generations. Our future kiddos and our kids that we left behind. Plus, they wouldn't have to travel anywhere to leave them off anywhere, because they'd be in the same facility. So I reached out to Head Start because we have a great partnership with them and the Community Action Agency. And Martha Baker, because they called me today, and I know several have some meetings, but they have, and I've listed all the partners, if you look at the flyer that was over there. They have agreed to, what we've decided to look at is, if you look at Claybird, it has a newer building, which is in the back, and it's a brand new building, it's got 7 classrooms. They could fit all these pre-K classes in there from 0 to 4, but also that would leave another room for any expectant mothers that need some leadership skills, social skills, etc. Need some help as well. So that building could be used for them. It even has 2 offices, it has a restroom, it has everything right there. And I talked to Judge Madrid today, who also works very closely with them, who said that they were paying the utilities for that. Okay, so we're not going to pay utilities. So then we have another area that is 2 portables that have been renovated, they look pretty much brand new, that we could put one for the GED kids and one for the care kids. If we grow, which would be a wonderful thing to happen, we have an annex that we may be able to use there too, without using the main building and paying the utilities that we've been paying. Now, we do have some textbooks that are stored at Roberts Elementary. And we're going to move to one of the rooms at Claybird if this passes. We really need to try to sell them Roberts and Lamar. Yes, it's Lamar. Plato does not belong to us. Some people think Plato's still, but that was sold. Okay? So anyway, that's what that area would be. Now, CIS communities and schools, they want to have their food pantry. They said, we want to support you by having a food pantry there. We want to be able to provide, would help with the health department and providing vaccines, all sorts of things to help the health part of our students. The social needs, do they need clothing? Do they need site for students, which are vouchers to help them get classes? So it would be kind of a little hub there. The Education Service Center, when I talked to them, Irene Ramos, there she is, she's right there. When I talked to her, because a little birdie told me they got a grant for adult education, I said, is there anything you can do to help us? And she said, this is a dream come true. Kingsville needs something like this. She said, the GED, she goes, we'll pay for the teachers, we'll pay for the books, we'll pay for the laptops. She said, we'll pay for the kids to take the tests, the GED exams. Thank God, okay? So, yes. Workforce Solutions, I know they're here. Workforce Solutions is here. Reach out to them also. They're going to help connect our students in that program and even at HM King with some career and tech programs, whether it's getting certified as a welder, auto tech, etc. Our students, they're going to help me also because some kids, they're going to them right now looking for jobs and they can't get a job because they don't have a GED or a high school diploma. Well, this is going to help solve that and make sure that we get a better educated workforce. She also gave me the statistic about our region. Did you know that our region, I'm not talking about just Kingsville, I'm talking about our region, only 25% have a high school diploma. We can help improve that with something like this. So students on this side of town would be able to take classes there to regain credits to get a high school diploma, but we would also keep the care program at the high school as well. So those who are already in the high school, we're not going to move them, they can still continue to come here because we know they have enough hardships. But we'll also have another one over there at the new LSG Claybird Early Childhood Literacy and Continuing Education Program, if this passes. Okay. Let's see. So question, so what happens to teachers? Okay, very similar, and I talked to them before I even opened this up that next day via email to everybody. Same process with Gillette. I'm not going to tell the teachers, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here. They're going to have the opportunity to reach out to the elementary principals about any campus that they're interested in attending and serving. Okay? And we will be assigning, we'll make sure that we're doing the best fit for everybody at the campus. Carroll Elementary. want it to remain the smallest campus out of the other two elementaries. Why? Because academically, Carroll and Flavor have had some struggles. We want very strong teachers to want to go to Carroll. And we're going to try to keep those class sizes at 15 to 1, while the other two elementaries will be at a 22 to 1, which is by some state law that's what's required. Okay, so let me see. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, go ahead. Okay, can you go to the microphone so everybody can hear you? Thank you.
Anyway, my name is John Temple, and I lived here in Kingsville since 1985, worked right here for the Kingsville Ravens from 85 to 98. The coach with Jacob right there, and many other, there's still people around that I work with, kids, of course. And I rarely go into like Walmart or HEB and somebody says, hey, coach. And I don't know, you probably get that sometimes too. You remember me? Well, I remember you maybe as a 15-year-old, not as a 40-year-old, which is about age. But anyway, I did have some questions. And I'm going to sit right here and say that I have 3 grandkids that are in school. One is a freshman here, and one went to academy, and one went to Bishop. And of course, they tell me the reason why. And I don't, I'm sure some of what they say is true. I'm sure. And one of my questions was, and I don't know if you touched, what is the plan for that? How is that going to stop that bleeding? I mean, we can't lose 1,000 people every year. There has to be some kind of a plan to stop that. And then that's a 2-part question. Once I get up here, I'm going to keep going. But anyway, and this is just something that I thought of, do any of those kids ever come back?
Okay, that's a good question. So let me stop you there because if you ask more questions, I might get lost. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yes, when I started here 6 months ago, it was 7 months ago or so, I was told that last year the KISD lost 204 students. And I figured, okay, my goal is to at least get 50 back those kids. As of today, we have 141 down. Okay, I believe that the reason they're starting to come back is they're starting to hear the positive. They know that we're starting to focus on professional development and be consistent about things. That's what I'm hearing, okay? And they see that we're admitting the things that need to be fixed and have a plan to fix it. So I'm hoping we're regaining the confidence, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight, but they have to know we have to be as transparent as possible and give them all information as possible and hope that they will. But we also have to focus on the positive, and that was my very first town hall meeting. We had a student, Mike Simmons, come talk, and he said exactly what I was, it was perfect. Because he talked about how there's too many people say that negative about himself. I know how great things would be. I grew up here. I'm a great one, maybe too. And I went to Harvard. I know how awesome it could be. But if you just hear the negative, then people tend to start to believe that. Okay? And so we need to get our kids out there. So we took our students to Ricardo a couple of weeks ago. I was blown away. We were blown away. How eloquent they spoke, how sincere they spoke, and how they really have a desire to transform KISD. And I think that made an impact on the part of kids, because we even heard from them days after, and the staff there too. So we need to do communication. Communication has got to be clear, and we've got to focus on the academics.
Yeah, well, I'm not from here, but I've been here, 85, 30 years almost. And I also, not a Navy, but I consider myself to be a brainer. I coached here for a long time. And even though I left in 98, and I got my big man I still consider myself to be a brainer. My kids, my grandkids, I go to all the soccer games because I'm grandson played, of course. But a soccer guy, I don't know about it. Anyway, that was my first question. And the second question kind of answers with my second. Now, and even this guy kind of touched on it, there's still a deficit, large, fairly large deficit.
Right now, it's 2.1.
Yeah. Now, and I know you said you had got in the paper a grant for 2 million or something.
It's not that that was a grant, I think that was a summary of what was said. It's several grants. So like the Title I grant that we have, the ESSER grant, other grants that we received. The way we were allocating salary, the way we were spending, some spending that was being done, there was a lot of things being bought and no training for it. It was just wasteful.
Yes.
We've heard that quite a bit, and we stopped some of the contracts that we did a study. Ms. Amita, she's my assistant superintendent. She, with our teachers from every grade level, analyzed all the technology software that we were using in Kingsville, ISD, and some of them hadn't even been touched. Some of them only had maybe 2 teachers using them because they were not rolled out correctly. The professional development was not there. It's not the teacher's fault, it just wasn't there. Yet we were spending maybe $50,000 on that one piece of software. So we went and we looked at all of those things and only renewed or looked at other things that we knew would give us a better bang for the buck.
Right. And anyway, when I left, I went into the administration business where I spent 20 years, so I know a little about it. And I know that, and I'm not trying to be well, I don't want to say what I'm not trying to be, but I am anyway. Because with an A into a L-E. But anyway, I'm not trying to be that, and I'm no financial expert by any stretch of the imagination, don't claim to be, but I know that, like my own personal budget, if I am short, I'm going to cut where, like, I might have to cut the cable TV, I might have to do this, I might have to do that. And I know from my 20 years in the business, and to me, and I mean, we rarely get it into a rehire thing, and I know you mentioned that. How many do we have here? Because I know that's very, very expensive. Do you know exactly like how many we might, even though it might only be 20, but that's, oh, 2, I thought it was more than that. But I mean, that is also, expensive to all get out. And let's see, I'm going to forget something. Oh, I answered this one, do we get any back? Yes. And the other, this is my question, you answered it. The other 2 million of deficit, you're going to do all those things you mentioned to try to cut that off. Right. And that was about it. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. If I have any other questions,
Thank you, Coach. Also want to make sure everybody's aware that we do have our board members here, several of our board members. If you'd like to stand to be recognized, that we have you all here. We have Mr.
Thank you for having us. This is very important for our community. I'm Sam Gay, class of 72, member of the Braille Hall of Fame, served on this board for 9 years, was on the board when we closed McRoberts. I know how difficult it is to close schools, because I've been there, and it's something that's important, something that you're going to have to do, and I would urge this board to follow your recommendations. There's no question that your numbers aren't right, and the only way to get them right is to close both Clayburg as an elementary and Memorial, and I'm a Memorial Maverick, so every day I saw with Jimmy a while ago, and I said, every school I went to in Keys was closed down. Clayburg, Memorial, to the old Key, well, the middle Key High, they're all gone, so, nothing stays the same. It's always changing. And in Kingsville, this district has to keep up with the changes. I hope, and I salute you and congratulate you, Dr. Pettis. I think you're doing a marvelous job. I think you got this district going in the right direction. You're hearing positive things in the community, and you do. You have to dwell on the positives. You gotta put a positive spin on it. When I came to the city 17 years ago, we had that, there's a lot of negatives, and you got to encourage, you got to dwell on the good things that are happening in our community, and there are good things that are happening in the school district. And, the city is going to be there to support you. But again, I just want to tell you that this is what has to be done to get this district right. Thank you.
Thank you. Because Harvey Door and High School have brand new, they're not the same building I grew up in. Also, I was talking to my husband, he went to Claybrook Elementary, my best friend went to Claybrook Elementary. And, it pulls out your heartstrings when you have to close a school. That's why we Claybrook are transforming out and close it. Also with Memorial. My hope is that we get the enrollment back up, that we have to open up Memorial again and have that Gillette Memorial friendly competition. I mean, that was so much fun. So I'm hoping to get to that.
Nick Brown, Ray alum, Claybrook alum, and former school board member. I want to start off by saying and reiterate what the mayor said, that when we brought you on board, and I speak for several board members, knowing that you would do great things, and we truly appreciate that, and we know that that's what you're doing. So let me start off by saying that we support you. While I truly support your proposal of closing an elementary, I disagree with the elementary that's being closed, and this is why. Having served on the board these last 4 years, I can tell you that Claybrook, with the exception of Harvey, because Harvey is one of our new schools, is in better shape than the other elementary schools. I know that we pumped millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars recently into our elementary schools and bring them up. So for me, having personal knowledge, I believe Claybrook is in better shape. Your passport study showed that Claybrook has more growth capacity. So I think it would be wise for future, we plan to grow, to keep a building open that allows that, and Claybrook allows that. The other thing is ADA. Dr. Pitt spoke about ADA, but there are two ways a district brings funds in. One is ADA. As recently as 4 months ago, Claybrook led all 4 elementaries in attendance, in the highest percent of attendance. I'm not sure why we want to change that. The other thing is, the other manner in which a district brings in funds is taxes, KISD taxes. So we're talking about changing culture. We're talking about buying in to the KISD system. In your administration, you have 18 people seated here. Of the 18, 10 of you do not pay KISD taxes. So that's over $1 million in salaries not coming, generating revenue for KISD. So I think if we, as a district, want the community to buy into our theory, then you as administrators need to buy in to our community. So I want to encourage you to do that. Put roots down here in Keysville. If you want to be here and want to stay here, put roots here and show the community that this is where your heart is. I think that goes a long way in changing culture. The other thing I'd like to speak on is, the progress that Claybrook has shown. I know that Ms. Ramirez at the last school board meeting talked about the beginning of the year and middle of the year report, and it showed Claybrook was making growth. Claybrook has been in that for the last 3 years, I believe, and it shows growth. As a matter of fact, Ms. Ramirez presented where Claiborne led all elementaries in accelerated reading, although there was an asterisk put by it saying, well, it's COVID numbers, which was kind of a little bit insulting to Claiborne teachers and staff. But it's because they're pushing hard, because they are pushing hard. And so I believe that Claiborne is showing strides. And to close that, I think would be difficult. Now, I know that several administrations have said that they would support Claiborne because Claiborne has been met. It has been. And I don't know, I'm sure that has taken place. But one thing that I do know is that KISD on average spends $10,682 per student a year. But at Claiborne, it's only $7,568. So we are shortchanging our kids at Claiborne. And that's concerning. That is concerning. So while I agree with having to close an elementary, I disagree with the elementary being closed. The other thing is what concerned me is that a 30-year teacher at Claiborne, and the word that you used was having to interview, reach out to principals. So will that principal that they reach out to have the option of saying, no, I'm not taking it? So I don't think it's fair that a 30-year teacher at Claiborne has to interview for a job, while a first-year teacher at Harold or Harvey or Pettis is secure in their job. And I don't think that's right. I think that needs to be relooked at and given the weight to the experience that our teachers at Claiborne bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. I can understand your personal attachment to it, right? And looking at the expenses for each campus, yes, it was Harold that needed less construction, parking lot. We don't pay flood insurance there, but we do have to pay it, labor, etc. Also, let's see what else. Oh, if we close both Memorial and Harold, that neighborhood will have lost 2 campuses. Okay. And Harold is not too far from the high school. So the students who are needing GED or needing to recover credits, we still don't have anything for them over here. We won't be closing Claiborne, we would be transforming it into the early childhood and into the continuing education. So we're not going to close that, we're not going to abandon it, we're not going to leave it. It's repurposing it for to fit the need of what it's doing. They show me everything. Okay, you can go ahead and come over here.
My name is Erica Bruce. My kids used to go to New York. My whole thing is, you said that you want to be using the buildings outside of favor, the main campus, which is going to be that empty.
No, we might use it for, because CIS said that they would pay also, there's several different organizations that they would pay rent, utilities, etc. for it.
But you're talking about transportation for the early childhood. Why don't you make like a contract with the county to pick up the parents that need to be getting their GED, taking the kids and some of the taking their device for. I mean, I see neighborhoods. You said that you can't do Harold as that. The early childhood development center. You think
It's not that we can't.
no, but what I'm saying because of the transportation. Well, why don't you get with the county or something, so they have a transit unit to help transport them through.
We consider that.
Because favor is a large campus. That's what we want. And if you move quicker into there, it expands, and it'll be better. The teachers are great.
They're going to get every campus.
I have their people, but my kids, I'm thinking of somebody. It's historical too. Kids will all about history.
Exactly, that's why we want to transform it, not the.
Yeah, but it's good to have kids that are paying the paper out,
That's what we will. Those early childhood kids are gonna be playing in the playgrounds for sure.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to transform that part of the if we start parts of the facility.
To save costs.
But you still have the mark, you're still keep, they're from mark, don't you completely fill out?
Exactly, that's why we're putting it up for sale, both the art and the Roberts, we're putting the textbooks that are in Roberts, we're putting them, so that way we can sell.
Still pay the utilities.
But the emphasis that we're not, no.
Probably check on that. So, if you're still paying it, so we check. But I know sometimes they come in and do stuff, I work with some other departments, right? But they do.
The dumpster, so, yeah, I'm sure the community probably knows that we have to.
No, I think Roberts and stuff like that, they come in. If you're still paying utilities, they're good.
Correct.
That's all.
Thank you. In addition, I would like to refer back to something that, Mr. Brown brought up about administrators who don't have to live in town. If you've been in other districts, you know that's common. Now, we have a capturing kids' heart, training for all administrators and staff. And I remember something that they said, and I think Mr. Gupal was there also, because he got to attend. They said, when somebody leaves a district and is willing to travel every morning and every night to dedicate themselves to helping the district transform, we should welcome that. And so I welcome that. I can also say, taxes are paid when you go eat lunch, and all the wonderful lunch places you all have in Kingsville, we know it's a lunch time, it's a dinner time, it's food here. So there are other ways that taxes are being paid. But I do have to say, I really appreciate whether you're from here or not, if you are dedicating your work and your experience to helping us transform KISD for the students of Kingsville, I commend you for that.
My name is Scott Hogan. I graduated from here in 1997. I was one of the first in our team that actually brought the program. And I watched that program with an absolute crowd over the last couple of years. I have an 11-year-old son who is in the school system here, and had it not been for COVID, I would have had it out of the school system here. I have a 4-year-old grandson. He will not be going here. I have watched this district waste money since I was a student here on stupid projects, on ridiculous, building something, tearing it down, build something else, on paying off, and there's no offense to you, but paying off superintendents because we don't like what they do. If I don't do my job, I get fired. I don't get bought out of my contract and paid to go away. I'd like to see the money come back for what they were saying. I like to see people here that are actually part of the community, that live here, that have a stake, and if it goes nowhere, it goes back. Because the way it's been going, when it goes back, they hit the road. They go somewhere else, and they take over and do the same thing somewhere else. I have watched money left and right be wasted from the school, the parking lot, all of it. When the charter school tried to buy a rent from the school district and they wouldn't let them, that was a shame. I'd like to know how much of the deficit we're paying for right now is for those past mistakes and payments and bad use of money. If I'm, my household, if I'm coming up short, like y'all were saying earlier, I cut off. I don't cut off what my kids get, I cut off what I get. It's got to start from the top down. So when you're talking about no teachers are going to be fired, no teachers are going to get rid of. There are bad teachers that do need to get rid of. And there are good teachers that need to be rewarded. But I want to know about the top, not the teachers who have the actual interaction with the students, who actually go buy supplies out of their own pockets to make sure these kids have what they need. I want to know about the administration. I want to know why they make so much money. and they don't do anything. They don't have any physical interaction with the students. It's all a fat cat just sitting there soaking up all of our tax dollars. I'm tired of it. I don't want my kids in this school system. He wouldn't be here. My son wouldn't be in it right now if it wasn't for the COVID. I had to do another school with that. Right when all of that came about, through a whole mix up. I have sat there all year trying to communicate, giving my email, giving my cell phone number to his teachers, asking them if he's not following through with this remote learning, reach out to me. I got 2 teachers. That's it, that reach out to me. And the minute they call me and say he's not in class or he's messing up, I'm on the phone, calling home, getting check on him, telling him get in his class, come to do his work, you're missing this, you're missing that. I have reached out to all of them, and I have gotten nothing back except for 2. That's disappointing. It's also very disappointing that all our tax dollars are going to pay for stuff, which y'all want to communicate on Facebook. I don't want to communicate on Facebook. Facebook is,
Our website, you see our website?
yes, I went looking for the time, I knew I had to save my calendar for the date, but I
You
didn't
made
save
the
it.
robocall? You made the robocall?
Oh, I got the robocalls all the time, yeah. They actually are kind of, I thought they were for emergencies, and the only reason I don't push no to stop calling me is because I do want to get the emergencies. But I get them, the one in the middle of the night, I get them all the time. Yeah, I make the road.
That's good.
But I've only gotten one from the actual school, the rest of it from you. I got one from Mr. Segovia about the school, and that's it. I got no reach out from any of them to help him facilitating, making sure that he's doing his work and that he's getting his education right.
Okay, so Mr. Segovia can meet with you about.
I'm not, Mr. Segovia, I have done together before.
But so we can follow up.
I would like to know, though, to my first question, how much of the deficit that we have right now is paying for those past mistakes and that money that was blown?
And this is prior to you being here.
I-
We have our CFO with us.
I became CFO about 1 3/4 years ago, and I cannot answer as to those past mistakes, what happened before I got here, but I can assure you that since I have gotten here, we have looked at the budget and seen where we have known that there is an issue, that we have a budget deficit, and that we're trying to cut waste. This year, when Dr. Pettis came in, again, we looked at everything from top to bottom. We looked at what was not being used. We looked at all the instructional programs that were not being used, and how money was wasted. We've tried to look at everything we can do with turning off lights at night. I mean, we've tried our best to cut them down. But again, I can't answer to any specific questions you have.
I can appreciate and understand if you just came in and you're trying, you gotta start fresh, but you can't ignore the past to start fresh. You have to go back and figure out where are you have so that you can make the adjustments or the course corrections to where you don't repeat the same mistakes. And what I see right now is a repeat of the whole thing. I don't know how long ago it was that y'all broke up the schools and the grades and everything, but now we're being told by the state that we need to consolidate that it's a good idea to.
That's one of the things that should have never happened. If you look historically, okay, and I was watching Peekskill all these years, live right now. So when I saw that they made that change, I said, that is too many transitions for students. And I wasn't superintendent at the time. I could only say, why are you looking at that? Okay, so there are a lot of mistakes that they make. We have to acknowledge that. There are a lot of mistakes we make. I feel every day we're haunted by the past few years. And even though it's not our fault when those mistakes were made, we've got to own it and we've got to correct it as much as we possibly can and as painless as we possibly can. Because over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of painful mistakes being made that don't make sense, frankly.
It goes back a lot further than 10 years.
I'm giving you a message.
Well,
And I don't know.
I don't think that the transition is a bad thing for kids, because we all transition in our lives and our jobs and everything else. That's part of life. So going from one school to another, that's part of the real world that we all live in. It's the idea that we got this school going on over here, that school going on over there, and it's all bills. It's all bills being paid, from salaries to utilities, like you were talking about, to upkeep. And a lot of the problems like what you were talking about with Memorial, I went to Gillette, the one that got torn down. Memorial was the newest one when I was in school. It wasn't taken care of. We're having problems now with the roof leaking and everything else. It's because people were being paid off to go away instead of firing them, buying out their contracts. So we couldn't do a baseball field we built behind our high school, when at the same time, the county was building brand new ones at the park. That's police. We've got to stop that. We've got to keep the money in Kingsville. We've got to keep the people in Kingsville, and they got to own it. Or the rest of us don't care anymore. I grew up here. I have no intention of my son continuing after this COVID is over in this school system, and I will absolutely not allow my grandson to go. That my son has gone through, he won't go through.
Thank you. Well, I hope you'll see that the children are going to have a better experience, whether it's your own child, and just hope to see from your neighbors or any relatives, because we're going to work hard to make the experience forward much better, much deeper, much more academically rigorous. It's going to take everybody coming together to do that. And I agree. There were several vacancies of leaders, and I asked them, and there was people not wanting to come here. Okay, so when they asked me, do you think you can bring some quality people that would actually want to? I knew I could.
Well, we also have quality people with the last superintendent.
Well, there was a lot of this, and I think.
And Barbie, the principal there, she was one of the best, and she wasn't going to put up with it anymore, and that's why she was hired.
Yeah. So for whatever reason.
Yeah, she was a great person. Her husband.
And there's a lot of good kids, a lot of good teachers, a lot of good staff, and I am hoping we're stopping the bleeding. But we're gonna have to make a lot of.
I can appreciate what you're saying, but I can tell you that this is my position, my family's position, and the circles that I grown in. All my friends and their kids, they all feel the same way. When we get together, if we get in the wrong conversation, we spend the rest of the night writing about this school system and the waste of money.
Right. And that is part of the problem. What I'm hoping is that the adults in Kingsville will take ownership as well and start saying, yes, that was the past, those were the mistakes that were made. If you have a concern, it's not going to get taken care of right here around our code table or whatever. It's going to be taken care of. You go talk to the superintendent, you go talk to the principal, and help them make some better decisions to make sure they get on. Welcome back.
Memorial's problem is bullying. Your cameras don't work. We've got all this.
We are definitely aware of all of them. That's another reason why you keep them more together.
We have more than one child, and I go and I ask them, there's 5 cameras all around, and none of them work. First I'm refused access, and I have to pull out that the Texas state code says I have access because it was funded by state dollars. Then, oh,
And I'm sorry that you're talking about that, but I don't want to get into specifics about children. But that's another reason we cannot really stay at home and keep them in there. Yes.
Probably in the minority here, but my 6th grader is right on the remote learning. Is there any thought whatsoever into bringing attendance back for people who want to be part of the KISD, but maybe don't want to go to school, feel worried about bullying, that kind of thing? Is there any thought that goes into that?
And you're talking about to continue remote learning?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
right? The thoughts have come from our mind, but we're trying to tackle one thing at a time. And so that could be a discussion after we move from this piece. But I've heard you because I've heard that request before. Thank you for saying that.
should have mentioned that he did. And what he said was that it needs to start at the tip top. And now, I don't know anybody over there except Jacob. But I would venture to say, if 10 of those folks, and I don't know none of them except him, but I do know school, and I do know how much central administrators make. And I'm betting that each one of them are at 100 or more. And if 10 of them, maybe 80, let's say 80, 85. But if 10 and one's missing, 2, that's $1 million going right down the highway. You know, that's a good start at the top. You can't tell me that there's not people in this district that are every bit as capable as some of those. And I'm not knocking them, because I don't know them. I know only one. But there's got to be people here. We had people here that were that capable, and they all left. But one of them was right there, the lady she mentioned, you know. And like I say, I've been here for 30 years. I've seen all the shenanigans, all the bull crap, all the other stuff. You know, I've seen it all. And I do think that it needs to start at the top. You know, if you're going to cut stuff, you know, you're not going to cut.
We're not getting stuff.
I know, but if you're going to trim, it needs to start at the tip top. You can't, you're preaching into the wind when you're talking about trimming and cutting, not cutting the rearranging and doing this and doing that. We got 14 people over there making $80,000 a year, and 10 of them don't even live here. That's $1 million. Figure it out. That's $1 million going right out the door. Well, that's not right.
And for these type of reasons, it is difficult to get people to want to come to Kingsville. And I thought our goal was to get people to want to move to Kingsville. But again, right, it's been, that we are haunted by the facts. We're haunted by the facts. We know that.
Well, I can,
But
I'm not saying you're not the greatest, because I wasn't. But I guarantee you, there's one job over there that I could do, and I've lived here, and I've worked here, and I got live management, and I've been a principal at a high school and junior high. And when I got my, and I'm going way back and shouldn't do it, but my wife told me not to, but I'm going to. When I got my mid management, I did here for 13 years. I got my mid management, put in for various principal jobs, didn't even get interviewed. And yet I was able to get hired in Petula, Medina Valley, and Rochtown. And I didn't even get an interview here, and I've been here for 13 years.
So I can understand where your anger comes from, but that was in the past.
I know.
And I'm sorry that you,
Not in the past.
I'm sorry you went there. Now, I will also tell you this. When we've talked with our teachers and staff, they're saying, finally, there is some direction. Our counselors are saying, finally, we have actually a person to go to that's going to help us. Finally, my special ed has somebody to go to that's going to help us. If you don't have a leader leading those every critical area, they're going to continue. And this is the analogy they've given me, is spinning plates all over the place and not knowing what to do, where to go, how to. That's how the district ended up this way. So we have got to change. So we've got to change those things. So I understand where your anger is coming from. Okay.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're going to do anything, it needs to start at the top. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And what I'm saying is, I'm not gonna lay off any staff.
Because I've been paying taxes here for 35 years, and if it's nothing done, it needs to start at the top.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna lay off any staff. And I don't want you pointing at teachers, and I don't want you pointing at administrators, because I think that's disrespectful. You have people here who want to help our district.
What's disrespectful is saying these taxes year after year after year, and having living here for all the years I've done here, and we're going straight in the tank. That's what this.
I know, it is.
Talking about our community and our children's future. So I don't care about the disrespect to them. I care about the disrespect to our children and our community and our future. At the top.
And I can assure you, nobody at the top is being disrespectful to the students.
No.
Okay? Because you're going by the past experience. Unfortunately, yes. I know. So I'm welcoming you to come visit us and see how it is in the present.
I see you, but I'm giving you examples, and I'm not correct right now.
But the teacher's not responding to you.
But the teacher's not
Right,
responding.
and I know.
But utilizing Facebook to communicate. When I went on the
That's
website,
one of the things.
on the page, the taxpayer page website for KISD to find out what time to come here, y'all were 2 weeks behind on your calendar update. I had to look for Facebook to find the time. I don't want to use Facebook, I want to use the tax dollar.
So don't use Facebook, but that is one avenue that many parents have said they see, they use that a lot more. So we're trying to have, mediums for every positive,
But the first one should be the taxpayer.
which is on our website and on our robocalls. And on our website and our robocalls. Okay? That's the medium. But Facebook and Twitter, that's just extra because we have.
Makes most of us listen, up, and I didn't quote me anymore, you hang up. It was supposed.
And that's your prerogative, but at least you give it.
Use of something that is vital.
Okay.
Being used in a way that is now redundant over and over. Oh, it's another call. Oh, it's another this, it's another that.
And I understand that, and that is your prerogative to opt out of calls. However, there have been many parents who say, I've never heard as much information before this year. I actually know what's happening in my district. So for some importance, they're all included. Okay, sir.
Hey, we just won this, title or whatever else, that's not an issue. I'll look at the paper.
And that was part of celebrating kids, and that was part of the long road. Okay? We need to, we have to curb the time, so somebody else has something new that they'd like to add to this.
I just want to say that you forgot to mention, you made mention of 149 students coming back from last year. And
I don't know if it's from last year or just we're bringing that, we brought that.
I think that's a great number to celebrate. I do want to say though, however, that it's no secret that we lose kids, youth athletics. You know, districts around us, you know, the sports teams, the keep the players. I do want to say on a good note that I think of those 149 students that have come back, a good majority, a good number of them are due to athletics. So I want to tip a hat to our athletic director because I believe that he's doing an awesome job in winning some of those kids back. And athletics and academics go hand in hand. To say we don't lose kids because athletics is being out of touch, we do. And I think that our athletic director at this point is developing a heck of a program. So I tip the hat to Coach Dyer and the job and the staff, what they're doing to bring some of those kids back.
And that's a great example of an administrator that is leading his department. We have to pay competitive salaries because other districts are wanting and they're paying much more competitive salaries than we are. We need to know that.
Hello, Doctor. Hey, dear friends, dear teammates, we're here for one thing, and our goal is to get this school into a passing standardized status. Because if we can do that, they're going to be staying here. And this is her team. And we got to pack her up and pack her team. And I commend the school board of past for bringing Susie on. And I commend the school board of now for supporting her, and let's keep supporting her. And I've been able to work with her and the finance director. And I see that these people are for real. They're good. He's good with numbers. We're able to save about $400,000 just on health insurance alone. So, and then they didn't get these numbers by themselves. They went to the Texas Association. So they did a thorough analysis of this whole situation that we're living in right now. And yeah, we're paying taxes at $1.57, which is the highest tax rate any school district can charge. So we're already at the ultimate. Now, what we need to do is make it, we're at a crossroads right now. And it's hard on everybody. And so, but all of us need to come together and work as a team, community and Sissy and your team to get this thing passing. It's a standardized testing with a passing grade so we can bring in more public housing. So we can bring in more missions to the Navy base, because those are the reasons they're not here, is because of our standardized testing that is correct. So all I got to say is everyone has their differences here, but we all got to come together in one thing, and that's supporting the superintendent and the team to make things happen. So we're behind everyone.
Thank you for holding this town hall meeting. I think this is called a town hall meeting. Is that correct? I'd like to ask one question. How many people up here are moms and dads of students? Raise your hand. That's not teachers or associated with the county. Grandpa? No, don't worry. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The city of Kingsville is about 6,000 people. Why aren't more people here? This is the community. We can't blame us all on you and the administration. I feel this is a big group, big time. Coronavirus has hit us. We worked real hard to get to all of us. So we want to I'm speaking for the county now, from the county commissioner. And I was instructed by a county judge to tell you that you have our support, county support, and we will back you 100%. We can help with that in a small way. But we can figure something out. I'm sure our director is here. We can work with you. We can do a lot of things. I think you and I and the judge and several other people were in a meeting just the other day. And we talked about many things. There's a lot of factors in all these numbers. Something that stood out in my mind was that we talked about technical schools. We have a mechanic shop here, we have welding, we've got all kinds of, not every kid is college material. And we've heard it over and over again on the news that we can train kids to make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year by not going to college. And we've got the facilities here, and they're not full.
We're listening that up here. I want to make sure everybody nobody, there's just many people that don't know enough of the programs we offer in career tech. We have great facilities. That's another thing that hasn't been promoted.
Absolutely, and that needs to be promoted, because that's money in the bank for these kids that don't want to go to college or can't go to college. And the kids that are moving away, it puts KISD in there. It's taking all the big kids away, and I'm not going to say leave nothing but bad kids, because we've got some good kids here. But it does put us at a disadvantage. But I think it starts at home. A lot of it starts at home. We have a lot of kids at KISD, and we only got about 18 parents here. I don't think that's right. That disappointed me when I came in here this afternoon and looked at that. I hope maybe in the future, we have more town hall meetings and we have more participation with families.
Thank you.
Okay.
I did have quite a few parents either emailing me or calling me saying they wish they were here, but they're working, and the town has this with them. They were supporting, they were appreciative of everything that we're presenting. And I just told them, thank you for your support, thank you for your support, appreciate it. So, sometimes when things are going well, they don't show up, because they're so busy with everything else, but they know that we'll take care of that. Anyone else?
How you doing? Elizabeth Ramos, I'm the current and KISD board member. I like how you said about not going to college. I've been in college for like 4 or 5 years. Never obtained a professional degree, which when I'm a college sheriff, and I could probably make 20 grand more than they did. Dollar amount. It's pretty good. But anyway, while I was sitting there, I actually thought, Dr. Esma in communication about this whole process. She's been very adamant about getting a response to her questions as quickly as possible. Which makes it immediately easy to make sure for all board members that this process is hopefully going to be very smooth. Terminating any facility is probably tough. It's tough to swallow. So after I was sitting here, I was hoping that you could elaborate to the public, because I know there's been a lot, but those that are more watching on YouTube. When you're talking about your Head Start 0 to 4, can you explain to the public what population you would be serving with those infants to 4 years of age?
Well, I know we have criteria, and is it going to be from but would be the pediatrics. I know we have criteria. We have students already integrated. What this will do is it will allow them to have more, I guess you could say. But it's usually the more socioeconomically disadvantaged families. But we're still going to offer pre-K for at all the other campuses. So that's not going away. Every elementary campus will have pre-K for. And our communities and schools will come in and help with food pantry, help with their social needs that maybe they don't get if they were in Head Start. So that's, like to tell you about that. We can also have the Head Start program people make sure that they come here and they give more detailed information back to the board. For the questions you have.
I know that homegrown so I just wanted to question something that we talked about in the prior meeting. Asked about the applications that we get, are they from? And you said that not a whole lot are actually applying for these positions. And then I believe I told them, but is there any way that we can train these people to take over those positions? Do you have some type of program where teachers or staff, even at the very bottom, can be able to graduate and grow and become
higher? So this year we started asking for interns and people who are aspiring to be leaders and administrators. We've had several reach out, and that's why Ms. Tina was one of them that didn't have it because she's an aspiring leader as well. And we're tapping into all of them and showing them what we know. The professional development that has been lacking in this district has not prepared for tomorrow. I've been fortunate enough to have the experience to be at districts where I received that training. So I know that when you grow your own and when you build capacity, because when I leave, yes, I want somebody else to just be able to step in and do the same thing I've been doing. You want to leave your legacy with pride. So definitely, we have several. We have Tennessee District Union. We've got Ms. Catalina. We've got several that have reached out. It's been a science week. Several that have reached out, and we've given them some duties. We're meeting with them. We're showing them how to do things because we definitely want to build capacity. And this is Noe over here. She wants to be, So we've talked with all these folks and met with them, and we want to grow for that.
There has been a lot of hires where those don't really feel and it's worth it with having professional positions. But there are been in the past many contracts requiring anyone to live within the district. And do you come with a contract that says that you're supposed to live in the district? No, I don't. I don't have a contract with it. And I have a professional staff. And I have a professional staff. No. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Superintendent, Pettis and staff, first of all, I'll kind of introduce myself to you all. I'm Corey Backside, the KISD School Board President. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time to come today and discuss issues, concerns that we have. I will say this, that in the May, there will be a recommendation to be in the best interest of not only our taxpayers, but most importantly, our students and staff. But again, I encourage you, if you still have questions, continue to push them forward to administration. Again, I know there were some topics that were being brought up as far as in the past, and I do, because again, I am a parent, I do have a child that attends KISD. But what I can tell you is that this is probably the most transparency that this board and this district has ever seen. So thank you, Commissioners, for coming up, because we are going to continue. This I'm very close. We're going to continue to have town hall meetings. So now I want to challenge you all for two things that I need from you all. And that's to continue to bring somebody with you. And we need to advocate for this. Again, we do have issues. It's like every other district. But I'm pleading with you. Help us bring some of these kids back. Volunteer. Help us out. I promise you, if you call the superintendent's office, you will get response to it via email, or via text, or via phone call. Very, very transparent. Again, I'm a parent too. I understand some of the concerns about this. Some unfortunately have not gotten phone calls as well now. But again, I encourage you to bring somebody to the next town hall meeting. And again, please advocate for our great district. Because again, I'm an alumni, just like some of you all, and most of y'all here. And of course, I want to see you. And we're going to make it better. How? Each and every one of us, and if you got a concern, it's no need to bring that up. So I appreciate and applaud you all that you look for concern. Because sometimes, it's what it takes to come up here and tell us. We make mistakes every day, but I guarantee you we'll fix it. We will fix it. So again, I thank you so much. Again, on behalf of the KISD board of directors and staff. But again, thank you so much, and I appreciate that. I don't want to talk about this.
So if you are here and you feel like you're not getting, I pride myself on making sure that I respond back within 24 hours. Usually it's within 2 hours, 3 hours. But I respond back. And that's what we're expecting of our teachers and our staff. If our teachers and our staff have not been used to that practice and not being held accountable, then that is up to us to make sure we follow up on that. So our principal has to know that. There could be any sort of reason that maybe the teacher didn't reply back. Maybe they had a family emergency, maybe they had a medical emergency. So let us help them get back to you. But if it is consistent, we have to hold everybody accountable, just like me. If I'm not going to respond, you're going to have to hold me accountable. Now, I will tell you this, like I said, I am a brand. I went to Harvey, I went to Gillette, I went to the vacation team. And whether I drive 10 minutes to my office or 35 minutes to my office, you're not going to find a superintendent who loves this district. That's all I can say. You can always go on our website. There's questions@KISD.com. You can email me directly. You can call my office directly, and we'll give you some information as well. We are going to continue using all social media sites because we have a lot of millennial parents that like Facebook, they like Instagram, they like Twitter, etc. We haven't gone on Instagram yet, but maybe we will. So we're going to use all outlets. Okay, she has flyers for the crossroads program if you're interested. Okay, that's for me. Thank you all so much for coming out here.